I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we delve into the mysteries and prophecies of end times with David Eymann, author of a powerful book. It is called Right at the Door. In a world where the future seems uncertain, the author offers a fresh and compelling interpretation of the book of Revelation, arguing that the key events it describes are unfolding right now in our lifetime. With a background in New Testament studies and a lifetime of ministry, the author brings clarity to the complex prophecies that have puzzled scholars for centuries. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. David, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to be here.
Your book takes a bold stance on interpreting the book of Revelation. What inspired you to focus on this particular part of the Bible?
You know, it started almost 50 years ago when I went to seminary. And in our studies of prophecy, I found everybody overlaying the predominant view of a great tribulation and a rapture preceding that. And I just said to myself, it's not right. I'm going to figure this out. And I've spent a lifetime studying.
Now, you have a background in New Testament Greek. Did that
Yes.
influence your interpretation?
Oh, yes, because it was in a Greek study class where we weren't studying the Greek. We were overlaying everybody else's thought on the end times.
Wow. Now, you suggested 5 of the 7 trumpet warnings have already occurred. Can you tell us a little bit more about these events and how you see them aligning with biblical prophecy?
The 7 trumpet warnings are in Revelation 9, and the typical view is that those are God's judgments during a 7-year tribulation. But I think the 7 trumpet warnings are warnings that God gives the judgment is coming. And if you look at them, you can pretty clearly see that 5 have already sounded: World War I, World War II, Afghanistan and Kuwait, 600 wells, climate change. Those have already sounded. And we're really waiting for number 6, which is the buildup to Armageddon.
And some people feel that the groundwork is being laid there with the conflict in the Middle East right now, right?
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing the buildup already starting.
Now, the identification of America as the beast of Revelation 13, of course, is a provocative claim. What led you to this conclusion, and how do you anticipate readers will react?
You know, it's a hard sell to convince people, because typically, and this isn't just in the last few hundred years, but since early church history, people have looked at Revelation 13 and thought that the beast represented the Antichrist. And unfortunately, many translations say he this, he that, leading them to believe Antichrist. But the beast isn't it. And the beast in Daniel 7 represents nations. And in fact, America is there in Daniel 7, the little horn, a 5th beast. So when you get to Revelation 13, you can't change hats. The beast represents nations, and America is the 7th head of that beast, the 7th manifestation of the beast nations.
Now, what about America, in your opinion, has earned it this distinction, this dubious distinction?
The biggest reason is it has been the predominant world power for, well, since World War I. We took over the monetary system of the world in World War I, and then since World War II, and Revelation 13 says this, who can stand against the beast? Nobody can defeat America. America has pretty much ruled the world for 100 years.
It seems to me, and I don't know if it seems to you, that there are a lot of inside forces trying to take apart America right now, are saying that it was never great, that it's not a good nation, that it's not a peaceful nation. What are your thoughts on what's happening in America and those who seem to take our standard of living, for example, for granted?
That's an interesting question. I'm not one to want to poo-poo America or make
Right.
America sound horrible.
Mm.
But Christians particularly have this idea that all of our riches are God's blessings, that
Mhm.
our righteousness and his blessing upon us guarantees that we're going to be caught up in a blissful rapture before a great tribulation when God unleashes judgment. And
Mm.
that's really not true.
Your book touches on the role of technology in prophecy. Tell us how you see these modern advancements fitting into the biblical narrative of the end times.
If this is the end times, which it is, you would have to say that America is in prophecy. It's the world leader. You would have to say that electronics, the electronic age, the World Wide Web, all of that would be found in end times prophecies. And the last half of Revelation 13, there's a false prophet that comes out. Two little horns come out of the ground, positive, negative electronics. And it assists America to dominate. I mean, we can see, we can speak, we have instant communication around the world.
And that can be used for good or evil?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, us talking is good, but there's an
yeah,
awful lot of evil that's done with the electronics.
exactly, exactly. What advice do you offer readers who are living in today's world if this is indeed end times?
Uh, the advice I would give is not a moral message. Get your act together, be righteous, get ready if the Lord comes that he doesn't catch you with your pants down or something like that. That's not my message.
Right.
My message is the events of the end times are not what we're expecting. Christians in America have been given this deceptive idea that we are just going to marry along the way and then be caught up in a rapture. We need to be prepared for the destruction of America. It says in Revelation 17, the eighth beast hates the prostitute and will bring her to ruin, will burn her and eat her flesh. That sounds like nuclear disaster to me. And
Yeah.
the prostitute there is speaking of America. America is going to be destroyed. It says that also in Daniel 7:11, that fifth beast, the little horned nation, is going to be destroyed. And we're not prepared for that. I think millions of people in America are going to be, I hate to say this, they're going to be killed when America is destroyed. And then to live on in America amidst nuclear waste, that's going to be even tougher. And we're not prepared for that. Nobody in America has the least suspicion that this great nation could be destroyed.
Where does the second coming of Christ fit into all of this, would you say?
The second coming of Christ, typically in evangelical teaching in America, is split into two pieces. One is the rapture before the 7-year tribulation, and then after the 7-year tribulation, he comes back to Jerusalem and defeats the enemy that invades Israel. I don't know how you can split the second coming. It's all at the time of Armageddon. That's when he comes. And you can see that in throughout Revelation that the rapture of the church is at that time, not 7 years prior. So we are going to be going through a great time of suffering and tribulation. You might say it's the sword, the famine, and the plague, particularly in America, before the second coming of Christ.
David, just wanted to give you the last word before we leave you today. Anything important you'd like the folks at home to know who are either watching this interview or are going to buy your book and read it?
Anything important I want them to know?
The folks at home who are watching or the readers of your book, is there a message you want to get across as we leave you today?
The message would be we need to go to the prophecies and look at the biblical, interpret them properly so that we can be ready and be prepared for what's really coming. We've just been fed so many different stories. I feel like a little David going up against a Goliath. I'm one against 1,000 when it comes to interpreting prophecy. But the prophecies are God's message to the people at the end times, what to expect, how to be ready. And I think we've completely misinterpreted those. And I'm just, when I started this out, I wanted to get the interpretation right. I'm way beyond that point. You got to get past interpreting the prophecy to see what's going to happen. Now I'm to the point where I need to give a warning. You've got to understand what's going to happen in America. You need to get ready. You need to get rid of that deceptive view of a rapture before 7-year tribulation and understand we are in for some very difficult times.
When you say be ready, do you mean spiritually, or have our homes ready for, cut off of food and communication and that kind of thing, or perhaps both?
Both. You've got to spiritually and mentally prepared, because if destruction comes to America and you believe that we were going to be gone and would not have to suffer, you're going to be disillusioned. You're going to have to completely switch your thinking and trust Jesus in the midst of suffering instead of in the midst of plenty. The second thing is, I think we probably do need to get ready materially. Stock up on food, find water source, build up a network of a community that can support one another, that sort of thing.
Great advice. The name of the book is Right at Your Door. It is a call to awareness and readiness in a time of significant biblical fulfillment. Whether you're a longtime student of prophecy or new to the discussions of end times, this author's insights offer a compelling perspective on the relevance of ancient scriptures to our current events. David, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
And thank you, Logan.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.